Good day and welcome to our live Coffee and Cloud series event, Improve Your Gen AI Adoption. I'm Alan Falcon. I'm the CEO and pragmatic evangelist here at Cumulus Global, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day or week to join us here for the live event or to be watching us on demand. Today, as we dive into this topic, quick reminder that Coffee and Clouds is one of several resources that you can read, watch, and explore in more depth located in our resource center. So stop by the website, check that out at some point in time. For the session today, the audio is muted to prevent any background noise from getting in the way. So if at any point in time you've got a question, please use the questions window. There's an icon along the top or right-hand side of your screen. They'll pop up on my screen. I can answer them. And if need be, I can follow up with you one-on-one after the session as well. This session is being recorded. We generally get things posted within about 24 hours, and feel free to share if you find others might find it valuable. These Coffee and Cloud sessions are designed to be quick and to the point. So today, as we dive into AI and how folks are using it in improving your AI productivity, we're going to primarily talk about four pillars of generative AI adoption and how these pillars can help you be more effective with your use of AI and get better results. And we'll talk a little bit about security and data governance as well. So given that we only have a few minutes here together, try to keep this quick and to the point, we'll dive right in. So the first rule of Gen AI adoption, the first pillar, if you will, is leadership. Even if you're a sole practitioner, you should have guidelines, policies, and procedures that you establish on how you're going to use AI and what you're going to use it for. You want to make sure, and even we talk to consultants and sole practitioning attorneys about it, even jotting down some key bullet points is important, because you want to make sure that you're adhering to legal and regulatory requirements that you may come under for the use of technology. So, for example, bar associations now are setting ethical standards for the use of AI. CPAs are establishing rules about how and when it can be used in performance of work for clients and what you need to do to continue to maintain confidentiality and privacy of your client's data when you're using AI. All of these should be in your policies. Small business, mid-sized company, sole practitioner, if a client or a customer says, hey, what are your policies around AI utilization? You should have something you can hand them that shows that you're responsible and secure in how you use it. Then when you go to evaluate AI tools and pick which ones you want, you can actually make sure that the tool you're using it, the way in which you're using it, and how you're paying for it ensures that it meets your policies and procedures and those legal and regulatory guidelines and requirements that you have. The goal here with leadership isn't just to make sure that AI is effective in how you use it and the results you get. It should save you time and energy. It should make you more productive. It'll help you alter and improve your workflows. That's all great. You also need to protect intellectual property, yours and those of your clients. The second is to monitor adoption. And this really is for the small, mid-sized businesses among us and other schools, universities, other organizations. You want to monitor usage and use cases. I'm not talking about snooping on your people, but definitely be out there talking to your users. What are you using? What use cases? And make sure those use cases are effective and productive. Additionally, you want to identify and address any shadow AI. This is where you are going to do a little bit of snooping. You want to scan your environment to make sure people aren't bringing in tools that aren't secure or that aren't approved. The reason being is it's very easy to take confidential or proprietary information, feed it into an AI tool, and unwittingly or unknowingly have that data be used to train that tool or make that data publicly accessible. Not even just publicly. For example, in the Microsoft 365 environment, if you have a document with permissions, share with anyone has the link, and you turn on Copilot, Copilot is anyone. They have the link. So information that isn't properly secured, even though no one's ever found it before because no one went looking, if they ask Copilot a question and Copilot thinks that data that's supposed to be private is relevant, it's going to share that data, even though it really should have been kept private. And so you want to make sure you don't have shadow AI in place. You want to make sure you know where the data is going. Additionally, and almost more importantly now, is you want to identify adoption gaps and best practices. Talk with your peers in your industry. Talk with other people in similar roles within your organization and with other organizations. What are they using AI for? How is it working? How did it actually change the workflow? Is it making things more convenient? Is everyone with a similar job function able to use it effectively in that way? Or is there training? You want to identify that so that you really figure out what works well for your organization and your people, and then it's then used consistently across the organization. It's not great if you have a process. Let's say you have a process for putting together proposals, and some folks are using AI as a tool in the process in certain ways and others aren't. The actual results you're going to get from those two people are going to be different in the time and the effort, but also in the content and the quality. And so if you want consistent work, you want consistent process, you want consistent use of AI. Additionally, we say you know that gap and you see where what's working really well and what's not working so well, or where there are gaps. That's when you can step in with some targeted and relevant education, training, and support. And when we talk about education, training, and support, education is about the concepts, the broader picture, how it fits in, the goals, the objectives, why and how, and sort of the constraints. The training is how to. This is the clicks and the drags and the actual utilization. And support is making sure that there's someone able to answer questions when people have it so they don't guess and they don't proceed into risky or do risky things because they can't get the help or get answer to the question that they have. Pillar number 3 is identify your AI champions. I'm sure you might be the AI champion for your business, or it might be someone else, but really embrace and support those internal communities. It's great for knowledge sharing, best practice, success stories, and support. In fact, we were talking with one of our clients, I was speaking with them last week, and they had an employee who historically they thought was an average employee, good, but as they started to work at AI, man, this employee had a knack for really understanding the tool and not just the basic Gen AI prompt and questions, but how to use the research tools, how to use add-ons that came from the tool provider, and it actually redefined a workflow and took a process that would take 6 to 8 hours down to 2 hours by smart use of AI. Identifying that, they made that person an AI champion, had them sort of document what they did, had them do some, did a little presentation to their department, that person coached their peers. Now the entire department and team is using AI more effectively. And so you want to share. Large organizations collect success stories and share them around. Get people confident that AI can, in fact, have a positive impact, not only in the results of the work, but in how easy it is and how effective people can be using AI in performance of their jobs, how it's not a tool to replace them, but it's a tool to help them be better at their jobs and perform better and be more able to do more things. And of course, you provide that support, and those AI champions can be part of that process as well. And along those lines, take some investment is pillar number 4, invest in upskilling. Just like any major technology shift, it takes time to learn. It takes time to learn the technology, how to use it, how it integrates, how it's going to affect your workflows and your jobs, how it's going to affect the way you even view some of your data and some of the roles and responsibilities within your organization. So start with awareness. Build awareness about AI, how you want to use it, the goals, your ethics and morality and guidelines around its use, and then develop or bring in training or programs or support resources that address people where they are in the AI journey. Are they beginners just trying to get comfortable with it? Are they cynical or suspicious of it? How can you make them more comfortable? If they're just beginning but they're eager, are they overstepping their knowledge and how they're using it? Teach and support. Intermediate level, advanced users as well. Give them the resources they need to continue identifying ways in which they can productively and effectively and securely use AI in the day-to-day, and you'll leverage that as a tool. And what's interesting, this is similar to the advice we gave way back when, Office, what was it? Business Productivity Office Suite came out, which is the predecessor to Microsoft Office 365 and Microsoft 365, and Google Workspace first came out as Google Apps, where the way people collaborated and the way people could jointly work on documents and information was different. Single document rather than emailing one around and have everyone redline it and trying to consolidate it, a single source, a single document, track changes differently, and how it took people a while to really get comfortable with, hey, I can be, Bob or Jane and I can both be editing the document at the same time. We can even suggest alternate wording for a paragraph and have someone evaluate that and consolidate or pick without having to email documents and go back and forth. It took a little getting used to. It was a different process, a different flow. People felt like they were giving up a little control, which they were in some cases, but it all ended up working out with people learning and having the support they need to really adopt it and see how they individually and as teams could leverage the capabilities to be more effective and more productive. And with that, we sort of stop in and say, okay, this is great. We can do lots with AI. Key element with AI is security and data protection. You've heard a lot in the general news about data breaches and data leaks, whether it's a hacker attack or someone makes a mistake internally, whether they're sharing things internally that shouldn't be shared broadly or sharing externally. All of this happens. Well, there's an interesting couple of interesting studies done actually, and the statistic that sticks with me most is that most data leaks through the use of AI, the industry now has a term for it called, surprisingly, AI data leak or AI data breach, are happening outside of normal business hours. Why is that? It's happening that way because people are busy during the week. They're doing their job during business hours. They're focused. On the evenings or the weekends, they're like, you know what? Hey, I'm going to play with AI and see what it's about and see if I can use it. The problem there is if you don't have the other pillars, if you don't have your 4 pillars in place, they're not going to use the AI tool that you've provided and the training and the resources you've provided. They're going to open up the free version of ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or whatever they think is their preference, and they're going to start playing with it. And they're going to take your company data and they're going to put it in that public forum. That's where most of the AI data leaks are happening. The other ones are happening internally or from an organization externally, simply because they're not managing and governing their information within the systems as well. So it's important to pick AI tools and services that are secure and make sure you're configured that way so that they're operating securely. And part of that also means looking at your core data and making sure the native permissions you have are proper. So for example, the example I gave for Microsoft 365 is that a file, it's the easiest way, the default way to share. You write a document, and from that document, say, I want to share this with Jane in accounting. When you go to share it with Jane and a few other people, the default pop-up in Microsoft 365 and in Word is going to be, do you want to allow everyone with the link to view this document? And so you say share, because you want to share and you're not really reading the details or thinking about the implications, but you've now made that document to everyone in your organization who's using Copilot. Now they may never find it, they may never go looking for it, but again, if they put a prompt in Copilot that the AI engine thinks is relevant, they're going to have access to that private information. Not a good thing. Google Workspace, the permissions work differently. But again, if you have information that's overshared, whether it's internally or externally, you may not be aware of it because no one has stumbled onto it yet. Or if they have, they've just sort of ignored it, not done anything, and maybe not told you about it. But when AI comes into play, the likelihood that that information is going to be found and shared inappropriately grows multiple exponentially, and you want to really prevent that. So when you look at your AI tools and services, you want to make sure that they adhere to industry standards around security and privacy. No big deal. The key to that, though, is understanding the difference between their paid version, the free version, if you will, and levels of paid version. We actually see some tools that the paid version is still going to use your data to train, which means it's public. It's building it into the public knowledge or the knowledge for everyone using their tool. While most don't do that, you want to make certain. You also want to see if there are multiple tiers of the product. Is there one paid version where your data isn't private versus another where it is? And you have to decide if the feature difference between those two is worth sacrificing the privacy. No, it shouldn't be. But is it worth the additional money to have those features, knowing that's also the only way to have your data remain private? Those tools should not train models without permission, whether it's paid or unpaid. They should not allow human data review outside of your domain, right? So it's one thing to even train AI. It's another to make the data that's being used to train AI publicly or accessible, either through subscription or publicly to anyone else. And you should make sure that your tool providers have guaranteed not to sell or use data for any other purpose than serving your business needs and responding to your prompts and responding to the tools and systems that you integrate with that AI tool itself. Now, these all sound really basic, but with any new technology and the excitement over it, these often get overlooked. So it's good to take a step back, take a deep breath, double check the tools in play, make sure people aren't using tools you haven't authorized and vetted against these shoulds and should nots, and move forward from there. Now, most of our clients are on Google Workspace, and there's a lot around Gemini. And so I'm going to spend just a really short time talking about the Gemini environment, with respect to security. Like the rest of Google Workspace, your data is your data. We love to say that. Google loves to say it. It's never used to train the Gemini models outside of your domain without your permission. You can use it to train Gemini only for access within your domain. That's great because you can use your documents to create custom AI models or custom data sets that you use. Your data is never sold or used for targeting. You are also in control. You have the ability to identify and protect that information, and you can leverage your existing Google Workspace security and sovereignty policies. Those automatically apply. Now, Google's admin console isn't the most intuitive and easy to use for many. Permissions, users can accidentally overshare in permissions. So there are actually very affordable third-party tools that can monitor permissions and look at the permissions of the content and the business rule. And if the three don't match up, send alerts or even strip permissions off temporarily to prevent accidental disclosure, normally or through AI. And know that you can stay compliant, and that Gemini AI actually has some of the most security certifications out there, including things like HIPAA and FedRAMP High for those of you attending from government organizations or watching. So we look at industry security certifications right now. Google loves to show the slide. It's current as of about March of this year, so some things may have changed with the competition. But Gemini and Google Workspace and the standalone Gemini app, gemini.google.com, hold the full list of security certifications you see there. Microsoft 365 Copilot and ChatGPT Enterprise, that is a paid version, holds subsets of that. Now, again, this data is about 6-7 months old, so I believe Microsoft has added some standards. I'd have to go back and double check, and ChatGPT as well, but there's still a difference. The key is you want to make sure that the AI tools you're using, not just Gemini within your Google Workspace environment, but any third-party tools you integrate or subscribe to, meet the industry security certifications that you need for your line of business, or that your customers need you to adhere to for their line of business. And with that, we've got a bunch of resources. I'll wrap it up and open to questions. I see no one's asking any questions yet. Now's a good time to start thinking of any you might have. We're rolling out a new assessment to help you assess your AI exposure and readiness. Save this code. When we roll it out, we'll send you an email. Use the code. We'll get it to you at a steep discount or free. We're working out the details there. We also have a number of ebooks and blogs on the topic in our research library, and of course our teams there. So if you have questions, if you want to explore your use of AI, you want some best practices, even some really great how-tos, we've got some ebooks and white papers on prompt evolution and how to build better prompts, and a couple of different models on how to get better results when you do prompt AI with questions or asking it to do deep research, things of that nature. Let us know. You can reach us by the QR code bit.ly/CG intro call, contact us by email or phone, or feel free to contact me directly. My phone number's up there. It shouldn't be. I'm bad at answering the phone. I'm worse at answering voicemail. Send me an email message. I don't have an assistant. I'll get it. If I don't have time to respond promptly, I will have someone on my staff get back to you, and we can arrange a time to talk and do it. At that point, I'm leaving it open for questions. Hope this was helpful, sort of covering 4 pillars, high-level stuff about Gen AI adoption, and that you found it useful. I do want to mention that on Tuesday, the 18th of November, and that'll also be available on demand, is our third Tuesday at 3 event. And with that event this month, we actually are going to, it's a how-to session for better AI results and outcomes. And I have a guest joining us, Gail Zona, who founded Learning AI for Biz. And we're actually going to get hands-on, down and dirty. She has a great 3-step process for getting better results in issuing better prompts to generative AI. She's going to walk through that. And we're going to talk about and give examples of actual use cases where people went from just, hey, I use AI to AI is a critical part of this workflow and how I do something on a regular basis because it benefits me to do it. And sort of getting out of the experimentation and trial and, oh, this is nice, into, hey, let's make this part of how we do things on a day-to-day basis. And so we'll have real case studies and examples. So if you hadn't had an opportunity, hit the website, register for that as well. You can attend live, or as always, we'll share it with that. On that note, I want to thank everyone for coming today. Appreciate you taking time out to be here live or to catch us on demand. And with that, I'll say good day, have a good day, good week. And if we don't connect on something beforehand, have a very happy Thanksgiving.